So it's still there for 2025.
All right.
Yes, for 2025.
So we ready?
Yeah, 26 it won't be there.
I need a motion. Do we have a motion to open the meeting?
I'm slacking.
Jill, it's on the other side, if you turn it on.
Oh. This is silence more than I am. All right, doesn't like me.
Right, that night we did it. We turned it on, we never recorded, remember?
Yeah. Because we probably didn't turn it on.
Right, didn't do it right.
I know, yeah. It's not me.
We may end up having to watch the
Recording. Yeah, it's not working.
It was just working, we just had it on. And it's fully charged. Sorry, go ahead, she'll just have to watch the video.
For motion.
A motion. Cindy makes the motion, Tim seconds it. All those in favor? Aye. All right, the meeting's over. Please stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Hi. Oh, okay, I can go this one.
Next item is approval of the minutes from November 17th. On page 3, we go 2/3 of the way down to water supply. Bernie explained that he's waiting to hear from, it's not Marley, it's Marlene Martin. Marlene Martin.
Okay.
Under page 4, if they have forms, the committee should be informed the committee. Sorry. The other thing on the motion for the water tap, I did not vote for it.
Here.
On page 3 under. the water tap.
Or you were not, you were. Okay.
All right, can we have a motion in a second to approve these minutes? Tim makes a motion. Cindy seconds it. All those in favor of accepting these minutes? Motion passes. Moving on to the supervisor's report, financials from November 1st through November 30th. Are there any questions? All right, if there's no questions, then we'll move on. Next item is concession payments, all right, from 24-25 as well as 25-26. As directed by the board last month, we sent out, there's a form letter that's in your packet that we directed to the delinquent individuals that still owe the town money for their leased property pretty much on the South River Road, saying that if they did not pay up within 30 days, we would look at for evicting them. So there were 6 of these letters sent out, and we've had 2 individuals paying full. So we've made progress. Any additional questions there?
On these leases, are they cumulative in 25-26 carrying over from 24-25? Or are they, would you add the 2 months up together? I'm looking at one as 130 and then 570. Is that 700 over?
Yes, that is correct. They're separate.
Okay.
They're separate. Any other questions? All right, and so those who, do not come up with anything in 30 days, I'll be contacting the attorney for the letter that he wants us to send out. All right, next item, discussion of 2026 budget concerns and the nonprofits. And Jim has been in contact, with an attorney, from the Association of Towns, and he's got some ideas and thoughts to share with us.
I talked to both attorneys, Lars and Malone, Matt McCardle, and told them what we were doing. I planning to do. I didn't say anything about what was done in the past. And he said you cannot give a donation to anybody, no matter what service it is. He said there are some exceptions. He said, I don't know if you want to get into that or not. So he said, my opinion is not to do it. So I went and I called the Association of Towns. I talked to the head person in charge of the judicial system for all the towns of New York State. Took me quite a while to get through. I could have emailed one of her associates, but I wanted to know what she thought about it. She said, and I told her, I started out with we give donations. She said, Jim, I want to stop you right there. She said, don't say the word donation. She said, because you cannot donate money to anybody. She said, if you give money to an organization, you have to get a service back for it. So she said, here, she said, what are, I said, we have 3 of them. And I told her the American Legion, the Cat Palace, and the Adult Center. The American Legion, first of all, then she asked me what our population was. She said, is it between 5,000 and 10,000? I said, no. She said, Sarah just or the town of Waverly is very small. I said, yes, it is. So with a population of 0 to 5,000, I'd like to talk about the American Legion first. We can give the American Legion $500, and they can use it for whatever they want. Building expense, repairs, paint, whatever. The other $500, she said, because it was $1,000 that was proposed in our budget, if we give them the other 500, and I kept saying donations, and she kept scolding me. She said, do not tell me that word. She said, you cannot give a donation. I said, okay. So she said the other 500 for the American Legion, because she said we have a sheet of a list of names of military. She went on, there was the Italian thing, the Irish thing, every nationality. She said, here's the American Legion, they're on the list. So the American Legion, if we give them $500, they can use that. She came up, she said, for flags. Do you put flags out? I said, yes, we do. She said, they can use it for flags. She said, they can use it. There's 4 days during the year that they can use it for whatever they want. Flag Day, Veterans Day, 4th of July, or Memorial Day. You can use the other 500 if you have anything going on like that. Those celebrate those days. The other thing is, for the other $500, you have to keep track of the money you spent, where it goes, and then the town of Waverly has to audit your books. We have to have a contract first saying that we are giving you, you don't have to have it for the first 500 for the American Legion. That is free, clear. The second 500, because of the size of our population, you have to have a legal contract that says that tell us what you're going to use the money for. And at the end of the year, you have to have, the town of Waverly has to audit your books, according to her, to make sure that the money was spent where it did in the contract. And so that's what it is for the American Legion. For the Cat Palace, she said, you've got, I said, $500. She said, well, they can't use it for cat food, or you can't use it for anything inside the building, no repairs. She said, it has to be a service. She said, do they spade and neuter? I said, yes, they do. She said, well, then they can use that money to spade and neuter cats. But they also have to have a contract, a legal contract with the town of Waverly, in the same deal, telling us in the contract what they're going to use their money for. And at the end of the year, you were right, Lawrence, by the way, that you said you have to supply a service for the money, but we can't do it, or she said. But and the town of Waverly has to have her books audited to show, and we have to have the audit on hand when our books are audited by the comptroller, showing that money was used where it did in that contract. For the adult center, I told her it was $6,000. That's a lot of money for a little town. I said, yes, it is. She said, well, the same thing. She said, they cannot use it for any building repairs, no heat. She said they can't use it for any wages. She said if it has a director or the kitchen help, because I told her they serve meals, nothing. She said that you can't use it for anything like that. She said it's what it's used for. She said, for example, do they have a busing service? I said, what do you mean? They said, do they have a bus that will go around and pick up people in the town of Waverly and bring them back there? And I said, no, that's done by the county. So I did say that they have craft things. She said it has to be open to the town of Waverly people. It can't be used for Meals on Wheels, any meals like that. She said no. A craft thing, or if they have a dinner that's open for everybody, they can use it for that. And I said, okay, same thing. She said they have to have a written contract with the town of Waverly, and then the town of Waverly has to audit their books that show that money that we gave the center, that's where it was used. So we can do it with those stipulations to do it if we do it legally.
So you basically have to do what you do with the justice of the peace, you audit his.
I'm not sure, Lawrence.
Yeah, we can-
Similar, I mean, it might be. The board audits the justice of the peace every year.
Now,
Now,
Yes.
Governor's checking,
Oh, yeah, okay, we do, yes.
yes, to see that.
now, do we bring any of our animals to the cat shelter? I'm just thinking cat house, how much are we giving them? It could be considered service.
I'm not sure.
They kind of, if there is an animal that needs to be picked up, okay, let's say it's a feral cat,
Right.
okay? Donna Bailey does it personally, okay?
Right.
Or she has helpers that help her do that, okay? We don't have anything to do with picking them up and delivering them. That's all done by her organization.
Right.
So Jim, are you saying that's only 500, you can give the first 500, but then you can only get 500 more and that's it, or you can give?
That's the one for the American Legion.
But the other ones?
I could call her back, and she'd probably give as much as we want to the American Legion, but it's based on $1,000, which I told her that we give the American Legion.
Yeah, I feel like for the adult center though, you can only give,
And there's no freebie, I mean, we could give it the adult center as much as the board wants to, but they have to,
Have the contract.
under those stipulations where it can be used. And no food, you have to change your contract here, and unless we own the bus system, or the adult center does have their own busing service, the county doesn't count, she said.
Well, we don't have a bus anymore.
There's no bus that comes up here anymore? The
No,
county?
the county bus doesn't come up here.
Oh,
And we don't have a bus at the center anymore.
Wow.
but they can all get their money but that's what we gotta do. I never said anything about what we used to do, because she said the comptroller's gonna look at your books and see, make sure all that paperwork's there, if you give money to anybody. So I don't know what's gonna happen when they come, or I don't even know how long it's been going on, or how it started. That's water over the dam, now we're dealing back and
So
blame anybody
question
for
of,
anything.
a question of clarification on the auditing, okay? So that means this board can do that, okay?
I can call back and find out. She just said,
Suggested like we do for the justice.
the town of Waverly has to audit their books. That was.
Right.
I don't see why not. I mean,
I think we need clarification on that.
I'll call, but like Cindy, you've been on the board. I don't think you could do it. I mean, you'd have to excuse yourself from any audit or anything.
Yeah.
So that's the story on that.
So for further discussion, okay, this is, I gave a copy, it was handed out at the beginning of the meeting. This is a proposed contract that was sent to the town in August, okay, in preparation for the 2026 year. And there's an introductory letter, and then there's a one-page contract. So based on what you said, okay, I think there would have to be revisions to this.
You, yes.
Yes.
You said that, tell exactly where the money's going to be spent, she said.
So,
Which is fine.
so, so what we're doing is I send a letter to the town requesting monies to help pay for the flags that we buy. And so that's all we need is to do
Yeah,
that.
you would need to show him the invoices at some point. that you
Well, yeah,
actually
when I buy
bought
the flags, I can show you.
If you decide to use it on those 4 days,
We
you
spent
can use it.
$1,600 on flags
okay.
for the cemeteries, so we can't.
It's got to be
afford
used
that.
for the town of Waverly. Because the town of Waverly is giving the American Legion the money. Like I know you just the other cemeteries, but those other 4 days, I know you have stuff, you do great things on those other holidays. You
So-
can use the money
so
for
we get-
anything on those, she said.
We get $500 that we can use anywhere we want.
Anywhere, anything he
And
likes,
we have to send a letter.
nothing for that. We can,
$500.
yeah, just for the 500, we can just, Ernie can,
So it's the same thing, we just gotta split it up.
yeah, I'll give you the 500. The other one, you just have to tell us what you're going to do. Just like she said, you can do whatever you want with the money on those 4 holidays. So just say use down 4 holidays.
I mean, if you get a chance to go rush, would you look and see?
Yes, sir.
That's sufficient. or you need to
So it was,
change
she told me it was Flag Day,
Okay.
Veterans Day, the 4th of July, and Memorial Day.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
So in order to move forward, we're gonna have to fine tune the contract, okay? Between
say-
all of these organizations, between the town and the organizations.
Yeah, just get a contract, have you and them sign just like this, notarized, and I see that.
Yeah.
Good to go.
Well, and these contracts will have to be approved by the board.
Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, if it's something, we can do a special meeting if we had to, so if they need the money right at the first of the year.
Hopefully, we could have this done. Maybe by the organization.
Okay,
Any other questions or concerns? Thank you for
You're
all
very
of the
welcome.
time you spent, okay, researching this, Jim.
I'll double check on the audit. And probably taking a while to get back through because I want the answer from her, just because she tells, instead of emailing one of her associates. And
Right. You, if at all possible, if you can get her responses in an
Email,
email.
okay.
Email,
All right,
Okay.
well, yeah,
and more specific as possible. Thank you.
yes.
All right, ice skating rink coordinator position, okay, I'm just asking the board at this point, okay? So that I can seek, individuals and get quotes, okay, in order to run that in 2026. So all I need is a motion, okay, to advertise that. Kim makes the motion, Cindy seconds it, all those in favor,
Can I have a question?
okay?
Are you going to, when you advertise for that, are you going to list the payment that they're going to get?
I think you have to in New York now.
Yeah,
Because,
they have
Yeah,
to.
you have to. in New
because
York.
we talked, I know it was discussed that the amount that was budgeted for 2 months is a lot of money.
Well, they're, as part of the quote, they're gonna have to say, I'm gonna develop, okay, a job description, okay?
Oh, so they're gonna tell you what they will do it
And
for.
what they're gonna do it for, okay? That's the quote, okay? It's not, and I'm not interested in an hourly rate, I'm saying this is what you're gonna do for, you know, a month and a half or 2 months, as long as the weather cooperates with us.
Yeah, in New York State though, anymore, you have to list how much people are, what salary is, what the pay is going to be in New York.
But this is gonna be contract, so that, just like the contract, the mowing out, they're going to have supply us with insurance, and then tell us what they're gonna do for 2 months. Yes, no,
Probably, yeah,
or else we gotta.
because we're treating them as an independent contractor,
Or else we gotta tell them what they're paying, yeah.
yeah. I'll also check with our liability insurance company, is what they recommend on this too, right? In terms of insurance.
I tell you what, I know Jimmy, you think it sounds like a lot of money, but go down there.
It's a lot of work.
If you get a lot of snow, you gotta shovel that all off before you flood it, and it's a lot of work to it.
It is. Somebody figured out what it was at 40 hours a week.
It was like 16,
I thought it was more than that. I thought it was like 20 some dollars on the 20s.
I think it was like 16, it was like minimum wage.
We used to do it as kids, and there's nothing
I remember
easy about
just
it,
staying-
it's shoveling and flooding, there's nothing easy about it.
Because there's a a canopy over it now, so there's a little bit less snow, but it depends, okay, on the storm and the wind direction. Any other questions?
I have a motion and I have a second, but
Oh,
Jim hasn't approved.
yes, I do.
All right, next item is FEMA update, all right? I have an online meeting with FEMA officials, both federal FEMA officials as well as New York State FEMA officials. And we're getting closer and closer to finalizing all the paperwork, okay? For the damages and the repairs that were made for that August 9th, 2024, okay, hurricane that hit our community. And so that's gonna be a wonderful thing when we complete that, okay? And the money flows back to the town. The other good news is, the way it works is, whatever, let's say our total, okay, is $500,000. All right, the federal government will only pay 75% of that. The other 25% is the responsibility of the state of New York. And the good news that I got last week is that the state of New York won't pay the whole 25%, but they're going to pay us 12.5%. Again, that's more money, okay? Even though it could be more money, but so the payments will be coming both from the federal government and the state of New York.
Has that, I'm sorry to interrupt you, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Has
I
that
was gonna
determined how
say,
much? Did you plan on us getting that, or?
I just threw that number out,
I know.
okay? I just threw that number out, okay?
So we don't. know.
I don't want to, it's going to be hundreds of thousands of dollars. All right?
Okay,
Maybe over 200,000. I hate to say numbers because if they don't come in, when it's in our accounts in that bank, then we know we have it. Okay? And so it's all preparing and filling out all the paperwork, and then hopefully they say yes.
Will that fall into the general budget when it comes in?
No,
Because you haven't budgeted that, have you? Or does it
No,
go to highway?
just-
highway.
Highway.
This money, okay, all right, it has not been budgeted. So we will have to make amendments to the 2026 budget to bring this money in.
To just go back to the highway department though, he used all of his resources to fix them roads, does most of it go back to them?
It all goes back. I think.
It all goes back in the highway fund, other than administrative fees
Right.
that he's entitled to.
Yeah,
And I'm
okay.
entitled to.
I know.
What we've already allocated, once we get our FEMA reimbursement, we're gonna start our truck accounting that. We discussed that for 2 meetings now.
Yeah,
So that'll be going to purchase our new plow truck,
good.
or at least put a good down payment on it.
Though it's gonna come into the highway department fund, okay? The board could allocate money to other departments if they chose to.
Bullshit.
Well, I'm sorry, Roger, okay, the FEMA officials said that can happen, okay?
How can you take the highway fund money away from the highway?
It can be done. The town can spend the money as they see fit. The town board can do
I'd
that.
like to see that in writing.
Okay, and I'll get it in writing. Now, I'll give you one example. I'll give you one good example, but it kind of follows the parallel. All of the flooding that occurred in this building, okay, the general budget paid for that. Okay, we've already been reimbursed for it, except for the New York State. So not all of it goes to the highway. And it's already happened. But again, that's a small amount compared to the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
But it has to go to things that were damaged, right, from the storm.
Oh, yeah,
can't
it's
be
all
used for anything else.
repairs. It's the
All
money we
repairs.
spent for the repairs.
Can't be used for anything else. Good.
When the money, well, we've already spent the money. okay?
Yes.
So this is a reimbursement,
Right,
all right?
Yeah.
All right, and when that reimbursement comes, okay, the board can allocate the money where they want it to go. I've asked the question, and that's the answer I was given, and I'll get it in writing.
but it has to be used for the repair work that was done. Is that correct?
It's- We're being reimbursed for what we've already done,
Right,
okay?
I guess I-
All right, so all the bills are paid, this is a reimbursement.
So I think what he's asking is you had money come out of the general fund. So you theoretically could be reimbursed for that. If there was another general fund thing, reimbursed for that. The highway, all the expenses they have, technically they would be reimbursed for that, or is it just you pick where you
The
want
vast
to go?
majority of it was highway repairs, okay? Was highway repairs.
So basically you're paying back the highway and then the other ones you're paying back versus taking it from the highway. Because
And the vast majority of it was, repairs to roads, okay? And gullies and ditches.
Yeah.
Okay, new culverts.
yeah, so but what we're
And then
saying though
paving.
is, I think what's being said is that originally the money to cover that cost at that time came from whatever line, and then we're just putting that money back with what we get in. You see what I'm
We're not
saying?
gonna take that money and use it for the campsite or.
Well, repairs were done in the campsite,
What
okay?
happened, those repairs, though, it wasn't, we can't use it for something that was,
We couldn't go down there and build our bridge.
right?
Or
or-
something.
Right.
We can't
Well,
do
no,
that.
first of all, there's not gonna be that much money, okay? All right, from the campsite.
They Roger and them do the repairs at the campsite. The highway went down there and did put the gravel and everything in, right? So I said, it wasn't done out of the general fund, it was done out of his fund.
Some of it came out of the general fund, okay? There were shipments of gravel put here and there that came from the general. Any other questions?
No, not right now.
All right, moving on, discussion of vacant town council person position. So, in my personal notes that I gave to the board, all right, I mentioned that there were 3 options, but I was wrong, okay? My third option was have a special election. No, there's no special election for this. So this board has, 2 choices. Leave, this is Jill. Jill has a council position. However, she has been elected to be the clerk, so that's the option that we're filling. Leave the position vacant until the next election, which would be in November of 2026, is one of our options. Second option is appoint an individual to the position until the next election, which would be in November of 2026. So how does the board want to handle this?
I think we should find, I personally, I think we should find somebody until the next election.
I agree. I don't think we should leave it vacant. If we can find,
I don't know if we advertise or what the process is, but
I would assume that we would advertise just like we had a
Job
vacant,
opening.
yeah, a job opening.
Yeah, exactly. So is that what the board wants to do?
I do.
And if anyone's interested, they submitted a letter to the board
of intent.
of their intentions, why they're interested. Can someone make a motion to that effect? Cindy makes the motion. Tim seconds it. All those in favor? Aye.
And we should do it as soon as possible.
Right. So do we have that motion down? Okay, very good, thank you. G, vacation hours, okay, for the town office, All right, we're closed on Thursdays anyway. So we'll be closed, okay, for Christmas on the 25th, as well as January 1st, which is New Year's. The day after Christmas, which is Friday the 26th, okay, I'm recommending that the town offices be closed that day. Is that okay with the board?
Yeah.
So can we have a motion then? Jim makes the motion, Tim seconds it. All those in favor? Aye, motion passed. I've got a couple of add-ons. I got an H and an I. First of all, Adirondack Tech has really kicked it into a higher gear. This is on our security cameras that we agreed to quite a few months ago. So they're running the wire, the cameras are going up, and so the whole system will be up and running either late this year or early in 2026. So it's coming to an end, okay, a culmination. And we've kind of been waiting for that for quite a while. But they've made tremendous progress. The next one is the bus garage. We've got a new problem there. There's a Modine that heats the western part of that garage. It's really not working anymore. And Steve came to see me, he's the head bus driver, saying that he thinks it's shot. Our furnace man, Tanner, he's kind of felt that that's kind of been on its last legs. So I'm looking for a board approval to solicit quotes, okay, to replace the Modine in the bus garage.
What do I have to do? Gotta be done.
Yeah, it's gotta be done.
Okay.
Cindy makes a motion. Tim seconds it. All those in favor? We move forward. All right, moving on to water and sewer report. The STEDS discharge permit, the New York State Department of Environmental Conservation, all right, is looking to create new testing requirements. And this is testing the water as it leaves the wastewater plant into the river. We had to put a public notice in the Malone Telegram, so you have a copy of that was in your board packet. So last Wednesday, which was the 10th of December, this was in the Malone Telegram advertising this. And so the public has 30 days, and there was a contact number to an individual that works for the DEC to answer any questions. But again, it's new regulations from the state of New York. To summarize all of that, I handed out this one-page document. And it says summary of permit changes. And they have, let's see, there's 7 bullets, all right, that are changes. Let's look at the 5th bullet down. Added action levels for PFOAs, PFOSs, along with monitoring requirements for emerging contaminants. These we are testing for forever chemicals, such as Teflon, okay? microplastics. So that's part of the new testing, is to test for microplastics. And one example would be Teflon and all other forever chemicals. But once they're created, they never break down, is what they mean by that. Then you look at the last bullet, added monthly monitoring for dissolved oxygen and pneumonia. So these are all new things we're gonna have to do. And Jared's on top of all of this. But it's an increased cost to the town because all of these testing, it has to go to the lab and be tested. And so there's always fees with that. Any other questions on that? So this is something new that's coming down from the DEC. Okay, also in your board packet, all right, there's a proposal for a paid public water source. Okay, it's a 2-page article. The author is Jared Brockway, our water and sewer person. So it's a pretty good plan, okay? Some of the problems we have with that water spigot. And what we could do to make changes in it.
What is the major plan, I mean, what they're worried about? With that water spigot, what's,
Well, one of it is that the outsiders, okay, meaning people who don't even live in the town of Waverly or in St. Regis Falls are coming and they're not coming and taking 5 gallons, they're coming and taking 200 gallons at a time, okay? And they're not paying a cent for it, okay? And I guess the concept is all of the water, okay, that's distributed in this town, okay, is paid for by the taxpayers who are in the water district, okay? And so the town, for probably 18 years, over 15 years, I'd say, we've been giving away free water and other people are paying for it. So that in itself is an injustice, okay? So that's one of the major things. Okay.
you can go and say, oh, you want how much water is going there, I can take you places, houses up here, show you water leaks in the town, you're losing way more money than all the water you can give out of that faucet. One of them right up here on Main Street flooded the guy's cellar, and the insurance company for the town wouldn't pay for it, they said that, oh, it was an accident. No, it wasn't, there's 4 patches, they can't shut the water off, it runs right in his cellar. They said, oh, no, he's not, the town's not losing the water. Well, funny, every time the water gets shut off in the town, no water goes into the cellar. I don't see, and I agree with you, nobody from out of town, but to have that faucet there for somebody that, say, lives up the cellar or what, to go get some water. Your water's tested anyway. Your water's tested at his garage, your water's tested at the fire station. So it ain't the point of that they're worrying about somebody suing them for a thing, no. Because it's tested both places, right in between. And then they do that, all that water coming through them pipes, it's used at all functions at the fire station. People drink all that water, so that isn't it, but I agree with you, you're right. I've seen trucks over there with that aren't in town to get water, and that's wrong. But for other people that are in town going to get water, I don't see a problem with it at all.
Did the Department of Health come back with anything? That was our investigation part of giving away the free water originally.
She's kind of given us that we probably should turn the free tap off and develop a system where we sell the water.
Do we have a letter though? You're telling me this and I don't mind that, but
Yeah,
I
I do
people
not
here-
have, I do not have that in writing.
I would like something just within the people in town.
Right, exactly.
If they're gonna say this, and I need something written from the Department of Health that says we need to shut off the free water.
Ernie, couldn't you just put some kind of a box over that with a lock and key and give the town people a key? That would stop the outsiders because they wouldn't have a key to open it and get into it.
I think there's all sorts of solutions. We just have to decide what we want to do. I think the last, something in writing from Marlene is important. And when you look at the bottom of the first page, it says proposed solution. Consult the town attorney and Tisdale Associates, okay? So I have been in contact and I gave Matt McArdle, an email, and he's investigating how town water law works. So I'm still waiting for an answer from him, which would be a key component. I think what we're looking at here, all right, is that the people in the water district, pay for this water. They pay to have it chlorinated. So therefore, all right, if you're not paying for the water, it's unfair to those people who are paying for that system.
And the ones that were here said that they would be willing to pay. So if you had some kind of a lock on it and they paid a fee, that would take care of the problem.
Again, all right, that location is not very good, okay? Ultimately, we want them, if we're gonna have where people can get water and pay for it, it's gotta move away from that location. Because this time of year, all right, the water runs out and then you have a skating rink there. And then Roger's gotta put all sorts of, sand, or de-icer there. And if it's not done immediately, somebody could slip and fall and get hurt, and then we'd be liable. So it's not a good location. It should go someplace where it's less traffic. And that's pointed out, in this proposal.
Actually, I think Jared has a pretty good idea.
I called Aaron Jarvis last week, like I told Ernie, and I'll tell you what he told me. I told him exactly what we're doing, and he asked how long it was going on. I said, I have no idea. I said, it was going on when I was working there. And he said, I told him about the bathtub, and that some people got sick out there. Am I right, Bill? So they supposedly.
Yeah.
And so, because I was working for the town, Jack made us go up and pull the lines out, but then I understand there's people using the well right now again. I don't know if that's true or not. And
There's a spring up on that hill and it's on somebody else's property and they all tapped into it.
What they do?
Their houses. Yeah.
when Aaron Jarvis told me, he said, what kind of board do you have up there that is allowing the water system where we have with the district for other people to steal the water and wash them? He said, the town of Waverly has the authority you don't have to give anybody water except for the people in the district. And so I said to him, I said, how about if we supply jugs or something? And he said, if you supply jugs and charge water, I told him, I said, the cheapest I could find water is at Walmart for $1.32 a gallon. So I said, maybe $1 a gallon. And he said, whatever you charge, he said, but he said, you have to have a Board of Health approved station that sanitizes. You have to supply the jugs and they have to be sanitized. He said, who's your insurance agent? Do they know about what you're doing? He said, because all they have to do is say they're getting sick off your water. They could have a dirty jug. And he said, and they're gonna go after the town of Waverly. And I just listened, and he said, if you supply the jugs, he said, if they bring, I said, how about we supply the jugs, if they bring a jug back and they switch? He said, those jugs have to be, cleaned out, whatever the Department of Health is, before they go out with more water. You can't bring a jug and fill it and go, according to Aaron Jarvis. And, I said, how about the amount of water? I told him, I said, you remember the Sportsman's Club wanted water a few years ago, remember, Bill? And there was a big hassle there, and Chad was in office, and I didn't know anything about it till it was all there. They were cleaning the mess up. Well, it wasn't a mess, but they were cleaning it up. And at that point, Chad went to Aaron Tisdall, and the records are here, and I've got them somewhere home, buried if I want. If I took the time to look, I could find it. The cost to, and Aaron said the other night, he said, you have to determine before you give any water to anybody or create a new district, how much water that is leaving this town. He said, and the first thing you have to do is go back and see how much water they used on a daily basis before you started giving the water away and what it is now. So that's the first step for the town. But the other testing that the town would be liable for, or the club was, Chad said the club was gonna have to pay for, I believe, was it over $100,000 from Tisdale? He had a whole sheet of all the tests. We had to test the pressures, and hydrants had to be tested, and but that they wanted their own line. They weren't getting water off us. But he said, the first thing you do, he said, because that system was designed for so much water. And I said, it's only just a few gallons. He said, but if you open it up to the town of Waverly, he said, because we have to, you couldn't just say South River Road, you'd have to be kept, the whole township would have to be able to come and get water. And then he said, you have to be stipulations how much they can get. And he said, you'd want to check and see how much strain is putting on the system, the pumps and all the stuff up the pump house, make the tank size to see if it can handle the water that you propose is going out. So that's what Aaron Jarvis said.
I wonder how they ever got it all the way up to the trailer park. They added on, go all the way up to the trailer park.
Oh, I know they did. Well, you can do that legally if you own property that is against where the water line is, then you can hook onto it. Now, that's the only reason they could, because the water line went up to the corner there, and they hooked onto the main line. Because I asked that question too, and they were able to do that because of there was water there already.
And every trailer gets charged just like every house?
They do.
Yeah, do they? Yeah.
Now, on that part, when there's nobody in there, who knows that they still get charged no matter what year round, or does somebody say
All those trailers are charged
year round?
year round.
Okay, because all right, Chad said one time that it was on an honor system, and he was telling the town or somebody
It's
when
charged for all 18.
there's 18, I don't know what there is.
Yeah, regardless of
Well,
size.
And as far as bringing water to the club, I can remember that there had to be wanted a loop system that either going down both sides of the road, because that was a dead end line. It was so long that he said that, he knew that on weekends the club would use a lot of water, but during the week when they wouldn't, it would be stagnant. And even though that's chlorinated, there'd be bacteria forming in that line. So it had to be a loop system. That's why it was so much money. So they'd have to go up one side of the road and down the other side of the road. And I don't know if the club drilled their well or what they did for water up there. But that's what I found out.
Any other questions? So we're still looking for advice from our attorney, all right, and as well as from the Department of Health, something in writing.
Right. Aaron Jarvis can suggest and tell us what we have to do if we make the district barrier, but he has no authority telling us to shut it down, I don't think.
If there's no other questions, we'll move on. Roger, you're up.
So you got your packets on our new truck, break down the specs, price quote. When they originally gave us our price quote, there was three figures: the price of the truck, the price of the Tenco setup, and then the total combined. I had them redo that, showing the list price of the truck. Our Sourcewell discount, which is 34.24%, which is almost $100,000 discount off the price of the truck. We made some modifications after talking to Western Star. Few modifications I did, I believe will make the truck last longer. We ended up putting,
Go to page 18. Excuse me. Page 18. Go to page 18.
we ended up putting the battery box inside the cab. They make a sealed unit, weather tight, vented to the outside, fireproof. It's becoming more standard with plow trucks. And they don't have to move the battery boxes, extend the cables. You don't have the rotting issue, the salt, the sand, corrosion. That was one of the modifications we made. I also had cameras installed on this truck for the passenger window and the back of the truck for versatility and safety. So it was a little bit more money than the original quote. It was about $2,800 more. Went from the original quote was $328,616, and it went up to $331,172. Ernie and I talked about the page 18 highlighted in yellow statement that says the chassis has to be paid for once it arrives at the body company. We can have the truck cabin chassis in 6 to 8 months, roughly. But then it's 18 to 24 months setting at Tenco waiting to get built. With the interest rates today, most of your manufacturers require payment for the cabin chassis upon delivery. So that we're going to end up paying the interest one way or another. We can either pay it up front or we can wait and see a price change 3 years down the road when the truck shows up. So they're requiring payment, which is approximately $186,268 when they deliver the truck to Tenco. If the board wants to move through with this, they can authorize Ernie to sign the paper and you can email it back to them. They can order the truck.
Is this in the budget for this year though, financially, or will we have to make amendments to the budget?
We shouldn't have to make any amendments. What we talked about when we started ordering this truck was taking FEMA money, which apparently Ernie's going to use elsewhere, and pay for the truck. I don't really care either way. It's up to the board.
So what we're looking at here is that payment of $186,268, okay? And that was not mentioned, as Roger said, that wasn't mentioned at our last meeting. This was something new that the company hit us up with. So if we agree to this, okay, and I sign on this, we have to make that payment at some point next year.
Potentially.
Roger recommends this, okay? So I support it.
Roger, I got the new price, but I didn't catch the old price.
The original price was $328,616.
Thank you.
And Roger, when will we actually see the truck? When would we potentially see the truck?
28,
27, 28?
almost 29. So the cabin chassis could come within 6 to 8 months, according to Charlie Boys. But once it hits Tenco, they're looking at 18 to 24 months before we get the truck back.
So we wouldn't see the rest of the money until then. We wouldn't have to pay the rest of the money
Right.
until then.
Right.
So we need a motion, okay, if the board is in favor of this, okay, that we agree that when it goes to Tenco, we're gonna have to pay the company $186,268.
Sometime in
So if the
2026.
FEMA money doesn't come through by then, we would end up taking out a loan for that amount.
Mhm.
And then we have the 50K or something like that put aside for payments.
It's probably gonna be in 2026, okay, but it took forever for the other truck,
Yes.
okay, so the track record of moving things right along is not very good. So I need a motion that we're gonna pay that amount of money when the company, okay, delivers it to Tenco.
So do we have to see about a loan first, or we can just do this now? In case we need to have a loan.
If we need a loan, we'll get one, okay?
Okay, so we just.
I would say that we're also contingent on if we're getting the FEMA money, it should go towards this and not the town debt. I know we have other things to pay, but I believe that if we're gonna take out a debt that much, the FEMA money should go to Roger and the truck and not split it off. Because I'm
That's
gonna
the
incur
town
debt for
board's
something we
decision.
can't pay for. And if we're gonna get the FEMA money and then split it to other positions, we're just putting ourselves in debt.
I agree, okay, that if we agree to this, we need, you
make
gotta
sure
pay
that
up.
that
You gotta pay up.
paid.
And we use the FEMA money for that if we have to. Okay.
So my only condition though is that if we have money left over from FEMA, that's fine. If we don't, it pays for this truck. And that will be my motion. To get the truck, FEMA money goes towards anything left over, any other expenses we have, we pay for it. Because I don't want us sitting on, all of a sudden having to write the highway bill and increase it because FEMA didn't give us enough money and we split it off. Because then next year our highway bill will go way up. Because it almost went up 20-30% this year, but we ended up being able to get the 50 put aside. We didn't put it in the budget. We got to make sure that next year we don't raise the highway budget to an unreasonable amount.
I agree to that.
A second.
This guy would put a motion, we pay for the truck and let the FEMA money be used towards it. Any left over, we can use for other projects, but we pay off our debt so that we don't increase the highway taxes next year.
A second.
All those in favor? So I want to put myself on the record, okay, when I said we can spend the FEMA money any way we want to. When you look at our water budget and our sewer budget, and the small amount of money we have for equipment, okay? Good God, I'd love to move some of that FEMA money to help those two parts of our, yes, okay? It should go, most of it to the highway. However, as the supervisor of the town, I gotta look at the whole town, all right? And if we have a windfall, we should be careful of how we spread it around. And water and sewer equipment are needed. So that's my feelings on that, and that's why I threw that out. And I know everybody isn't happy with that, but that's a reality, folks. The whole town we gotta look at. That's my opinion on that. But we'll work it all out in the end. All right. Roger, you wanna update people, okay, on what happened there on December 4th? The accident?
So one of our plow trucks got hit over on the Trim Road. Dale Hickok was coming around the corner too fast and slid into the plow front end of the truck. We had some minor repairs. Police showed up. Accident report was filled out. Truck was drivable. They came and got his vehicle. We just got a letter from the district attorney today, Friday,
Right,
requesting if we want to file charges against him. Because apparently he did not have a license. The vehicle was registered and insured in somebody else's name, which was surprising to start with. It was even registered and insured, but we got some figures together and I submitted them to Ernie so he can put a profile together and send it to the DA for prosecution.
I'm also gonna use, the profile's done, but I want you to look at it before it goes out. But it'll go to the district attorney's office as well as to the various insurance companies.
Nobody was hurt, thankfully.
Thank you.
How much was the damages?
No.
No.
Those plow trucks are built pretty tough.
The-
The damage to his vehicle, the Jeep was totaled. Yeah. When you get the plow, front axle came out from underneath it, the rear axle, fenders, all kinds of body parts, but nobody was hurt.
I put all the claims together, you know, the damages and the parts. Then there was the labor for the guys to work on it, okay? It's less than $1,000. But we're still gonna file it, okay? All right, if there's no questions, we'll move on to action items, possible budget transfers from sidewalks to independent auditing. We've already spent $29,000 to pay our auditor. And I know there's gonna be a couple monthly bills, all right? Well, 1 month, December, but then they're very close, okay, with the AUD for 2023, and that's gonna cost us, you know, more. So to make it through the end of the year, I need this budget transfer. Jim makes the motion. Cindy seconds it. All those in favor? Motion passes. The second budget transfer, all right, is to move money from the parks to $3,500 to the engineering line. And this is to pay the engineer's bill, which is over $4,000. And this was to approve, okay, the Kluge Road sand pit. So they do all sorts of an investigation, and I have a $4,500 bill. So there's some money in the line item, but I need $3,500 to pay the bill. And that'll close that out for this year. Cindy makes the motion, Tim seconds it. All those in favor? Aye.
I missed the first two,
Jim, Cindy,
Jim and Cindy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
all in favor. Thank you. And then Cindy and Tim.
All right. Tony LaRue, all right, is the interim chief operator of the wastewater plant, an assistant interim operator for the water plant, and we pay him $2,000 a month. And so I want to extend that for the next 2 months. I'm passing that motion. Jim makes the motion. Cindy seconds it. All those in favor? Motion passes. We should schedule an organizational meeting for the first Monday, which is January 5th at 6:30. If the board is comfortable with that, we should set that. Jill makes the motion. Jim seconds it. All those in favor? Motion passes. Public and board comments. Bill?
Oh, question. Who's responsible for clearing the snow on the sidewalks? Is it, and like in Malone, it's businesses in front, for me, because seeing these people walking in the middle of the road or whatever, if I hit them, what are they gonna claim, you know? They're all going up to the school, they're always in the road. Is it the homeowner's responsibility to clear the snow in front of those lights? I'm not, so some places is it the homeowner, Roger?
State law says you are required to maintain the sidewalks in front of your
I
house.
know Malone,
As a courtesy, the town of Waverly has always done it in the past as much as possible.
yeah, I see you do, but I did, the other day it was all snowed up. And
According to New York state law, it is required for the homeowners and business owners to maintain their own sidewalks.
Okay. I thought it was, but they were walking in the road and you guys got other stuff to do. You can't concentrate just the sidewalk right away. You got them all clean today, but there was a lot of them walking in the road. And my second question. I know we have a wicked problem with the hydrants in town. And they have a tanker task force for a reason. The fire department does not count on these fire hydrants. You can't. For the life, many different times when I was involved a lot, we went and water didn't go down. And you can't risk a life on these. And I'm just curious, we set up a tanker task force route, and it used to come down Hugh Street around, down that side road, and right there, and pump out of the dry hydrant and everything else. Now we shut that road off. But then it creates a different problem, like when they're down there trying to turn around by the beach, there's a rescue call up that road or whatever. Before, they had it set up, the tankers would come down and fill, then they cut that second side road, it was a rescue call, they could go up, and there was no involvement with the fire trucks at all. I don't know why we don't wanna plow that side road anymore, Raj.
I discussed it with the men and they don't feel it's safe going up and down that. And I agree 100%.
I mean, it'd take the same amount of time to do it with the pickup as it does to clean over by the beach. I mean, if they did it with the pickup, they'd plowed that road. But that was the setup. They could come up there, the fire trucks, and they weren't blocking. Then if there was a rescue call, they could cut the other way instead of having, say, Ron Hubbard's wife had a heart attack. They could cut down that side road and they could be right there, who's in not bad health. I think it's, I think that route was a lot better for the tanker task force, but the guys thought that was unsafe. You don't think it would take the same amount of time to plow that with a pickup that takes to plow that whole area down by the beach?
We don't plow down by the beach.
So where are they supposed to turn around?
Somebody else is plowing down by the beach, not us.
Huh.
I don't know who's doing it.
Yeah, but I think it's a town responsibility to require a place where, because you can't count on the water. You go talk to you can't count on the fire hydrants. They're not good. When is the last time they were flushed out?
You're asking the wrong one.
No, I know it ain't your responsibility.
But there's a lot of them don't work either.
Yeah, there's not, but they're supposed to be flushed every year. And when they flush them, that report goes to the fire chief, let them know, well, this hydrant can work, this, and they haven't been. And it's not, you're absolutely right, it's not your responsibility, that's water. But that hasn't been done in years. I mean, it's a,
I do believe Wilbur and Jared, okay, went around and did some sort of inspection, okay, at some point this year, okay, before winter came. But what you're pointing out is the need, okay, for radical change in the whole water system. We need that when we had the busted pipe of Goth Avenue, okay, the shut off in the end of the road, they struggled to get that closed off and they never got it totally closed off. Which points out we need a whole new infrastructure, okay, of new piping, all right, to service the water. And with the new piping comes new fire hydrants.
Yeah,
There's clearly a need for that.
and we gotta have a system, they're not counting on it. We gotta have a system where the fire trucks can get up, get turned around and pump out of the river. That's what that dry hydrant's over there for. I don't even know if that works, but anyways, they gotta have a place to set up. And right now, like in Roger, they don't have any place to turn around. Somebody's been hitting down there with a plow truck. I don't know who, to try to turn around by the beach, but that's not a good system. The other way down that hill and there, that works out perfect. They could get both ways. You could have fire trucks filling and they could have a rescue go up that road. But I know that's something they gotta work out, but you gotta have a system for a backup. All of a sudden, there's no way to get water and you have a big house fire. And you can't count on it. And you can't count on a lot of these fire hydrants. That's why they count on that Franklin County Tanker Task Force, Dickinson and all that, to come up here. They will fill over here at the river. We got to come up with a good plan for that there.
That river hydrant works.
Yeah.
Because in Nickelville, when they had that, I'm gonna call it forest fire
Yeah.
or land fire, I was working in the office and the trucks were coming
Yeah,
in a big cycle.
yeah,
And drawing water from the river.
and that's what they set that up for, because when Eddie Waite's old house burned up there, 3 of them hydrants up there didn't work. And that's when Wilbur come up with the plan they put the dry hydrant and everything in. And it's the same. We need hydrants, we need different water, but you gotta be able to get to that over there and get turned around and walk the road. They need to come up with a better plan or somewhere for them to turn around or whatever.
So they would go up and then come down that,
That side road, yeah,
That side road.
that's how we had it before. They go up across from the and the fire trucks would come down and around and
so
they
if
were.
we had a big fire right now, there would be no way for them to turn.
Well, they'd have to go down and try to turn around down by the beach.
But if that's not.
That's not a big area to turn around. Then they're turning around, whatever, you got a rescue call. All of a sudden you got all these trucks and these hoses out there and thing, they got no way to support the end of our road. I got it, and the other thing I want to say is, Roger and them, I would never have guessed. I estimated 1.5 to 2 years before the Shanley Road and then roads would they ever be put back. And they had it back together in 2 or 3 months. They did an outstanding job to get them roads back after that storm. The town men did a good job.
Bill, why did they remove or discontinue this hydrant right over here? The dry hydrant.
They haven't.
Oh, does that one work? Does it?
Yeah, that one works.
So
That's what I'm talking about. They're gonna have a way for the trucks to get over there to pump.
No, the one that was right here on this side of the river.
Oh, I don't know why they ever did away with that one.
I mean, I used to mow around it when I worked at the
Yeah,
dam.
that's right. They had one down here, but
It's right by the.
yeah, right by the
pavilion.
dam too. But getting trucks down there to get filled would be a son of a gun in the winter time.
Maybe that's why.
Yeah. That's all.
On them, the leases you're taking back up here, how many? You said there were 6 originally, 2 paid up.
Right.
How many of the remaining 4 have people living?
I'd have to look, I don't know off the top of my head. I'd have-
So the only ones you have to be, if there's no one living there, you just take the lease back.
Yeah, take the lease back, yeah.
There's no attorney or anything
Right.
involved.
Right.
The skating rink coordinator position, you're not gonna wait till your January meeting to hire someone. are you? I mean, you're gonna be 3/4 through the skating season.
We're gonna have to, at the organizational meeting, hire somebody.
At the organizational meeting,
Yeah, that would be the goal.
That's when the plan is?
And in the past, okay, and I don't have a good grip on that, it was pretty much open in January and February. I don't think it ever opened, okay, for the Christmas holiday, but I'm not 100% sure about that.
That run, yeah, years and years ago when we had cold weather, it always was all winter long. Yeah, but you're right, and we ain't had the winters where they could do it before this cold spell like this now. Never had it.
That, new testing you gotta do on the discharge permit. Is there, you know, the cost associated with that?
It's probably gonna be, Jared and I talked about this, okay, probably off the top of our heads, okay, it's probably gonna be $600 to $1,000 more a year.
This once a year? Or is it,
No, some of them are quarterly and some of them are monthly.
that's all right, I just want to know
The dissolved oxygen and pneumonia is monthly, all right? And then the PFOAs and the PFOSs, I think that's quarterly.
on, did you say that you've been reimbursed for anything that came out of the general fund due to the flooding?
Yes, okay.
So,
The flooding, okay, this part of the building, okay, which was the medical offices in here, okay? A professional company came in and it cost us over $8,000, okay? And the key thing is they had powerful dehumidifiers in these rooms because you wanna, in the lower part of the wall, you gotta suck the moisture out of that sheetrock and in between, or else you're gonna have black mold growing in there. And so they spent a lot of time. They were in here for days with those dehumidifiers, even though the floor was dry. And then he actually had a tester and he could test how dry it is at the bottom of the wall. So that cost us over $8,000, all right? And so we've already submitted that through FEMA, okay? And around $6,000, some odd thousand. But that came straight out of the general fund to pay for that cleaning, and the reimbursement came back to us.
when I got on the board in 2014, the independent auditing was $5,000. When Chad came in, I think 2016, we changed independent auditing and it went to $8,500. Now it is $30,000.
What it is, we pay $2,000 a month, okay, for basic services, okay? So, but then to pay for these back AUDs, it's over $4,000.
So it's basically, without counting the AUDs, we've gone up 500% in 10 years. Independent auditing, is this something that you should be looking at? I mean, there's,
I think once we get our taxes up, I think it is something to look at, because I know most of the places have just a yearly audit once you're done. If your bookkeeper is doing their stuff right, it's just a matter of looking over the numbers, making sure they're in the right categories.
that's a lot of money, $2,000 a month, when it used to be done. I mean, the cost of living's gone up, but in 11 years, gone from 5,000 to 24,000. That's just the monthly.
But
Not
they're
talking
auditing
about
monthly
your
expenses, right?
special-
Not just
Right.
at the end of the year.
Right. And they're also doing payroll for us too, that's basically 200 to 400.
The AUD was something like 1,500 to be done. That was beyond the 5,000. The AUD was an additional 1,500.
Right. And now that's up to 4,000 we're paying for that. And in our time here, we paid for 2020, 2021, 2022.
Yeah.
We're very, very close on 2023 because on Thursday and Friday, okay, she was asking questions, which I helped her answer. Okay, so we're very close. So that still leaves 24, okay? And then at some point, by March of 2026, we're gonna have to have 2025 done.
Will we be considered up to date once 2024 is filed? Since technically 25 isn't due till
Right.
March.
Yes. Yes. And you can apply for an extension, okay, if you need more
I'm
time.
just looking at when we can realistically start looking at grant money.
As soon as 24 is done.
And if the board wants to, we can put out the bid for external auditing, okay, services.
Now, when I was on the board, and Lawrence is right, that's why we hired that one company. Straighten out the AUDs and all that and pay the payroll and do all that. I ain't been on the board in 4 or 5 years and it still ain't straightened out. That's why we hired that one company to straighten all that out.
Well,
They weren't getting.
according to Gray and Gray, all right, whatever they needed, okay, from the supervisor, okay, he never produced.
I remember
And
that, yeah.
she was here one of our early meetings, and I promised full cooperation. Whatever they need in terms of paperwork, full disclosure, okay, of our checking and banking, all right, and any other questions.
Yeah, I remember that. I remember telling us on the board that a lot of it was the information wasn't provided.
Right,
I figured.
they gotta have the information.
Yeah, 4 or 5 years and they should have had it straightened out by now, but it's still taking that long.
It's been a battle,
Yeah.
okay,
Oh, I
over the
understand.
last 2 years, and we're getting close to finishing it off.
I know it ain't you.
Anything else? All right, so we were gonna administer the oaths of office, okay, but that's all changed, okay? So we're not gonna be doing that tonight. So, a motion to adjourn then. Jim make the motion. 10 seconds, and all those in favor, okay? Motion to adjourn is approved. So we want to thank you, Debbie, for 22 years of experience. 26? I'm out of
Yeah. We don't need to get more than we do. I'm gonna call both of them tomorrow.
I told him Bill.
Is that?
That's right. He knows that. No title at all. But he wanted to get one more year out of this.
I just found out later this afternoon.
Roger can tell you. He knows.
Yeah, soon as the election is over, November, you can start throwing them in, because in here, you've got the date, January 1st.
Already?
It just can't get January 1st.
Yeah, you know, they change all the.